The Word by Pablo Neruda.
Hi dears, today we are going to discuss about the romantic and revolutionary poet from Chile, Pablo Neruda. Youth across the world is inspired by the famous poems of Pablo Neruda. And before discussing about the poet and about the poem, we are going to see the location of Chile.
This is a map of American continent. The land which is in blue is in North America. Central America is marked here in red and Caribbean islands are marked in orange. The green colored one is South America. The Latin American countries include the states of Central America, Caribbean islands, and South America. See the other map of South America? Chile is here marked in red. Unlike the prosperous North American states, the Latin American countries are not economically sound. Neftali Ricardo Reyes Bosalto, famously known as Pablo Neruda, is a Latin American poet and diplomat born on 12th July 1904 in Parral, Chile. He was Chile's most beloved poet. Neruda was a staunch supporter of the Communist Party and a great admirer of Joseph Stalin and Fidel Castro. He began his creative writing at the age of 13. In 1920, he contributed his articles and poems to journals, adopting the pen name Pablo Neruda, which was chosen in honor of the Czech poet Jan Neruda, owing to his father's disapproval of his poetic interests.
Now let us see the famous quotes of Pablo Neruda which inspired the youth in general across the world.
I want to do with you what spring does with the cherry trees. You can cut all the flowers, but you cannot keep spring from coming.
The chapter which we are going to discuss now is an excerpt from Pablo Neruda's famous memo, and this excerpt is entitled as The Word. So what's a memo and how is it different from an autobiography?
An autobiography is a biography of oneself narrated by oneself. Autobiographical works can take many forms, from the intimate writings made during life that were not necessarily intended for publication, including letters, diaries, journals, memos, and reminiscences, to a formal book length autobiography. As an autobiography, a memo is a narrative that reveals experiences within the author's lifetime. An autobiography is a chronological telling of one's own experience, which should include phases such as childhood, adolescence, adulthood, etc. While a memo provides a much more specific timeline and a much more intimate relationship to the writer's own memories, feelings, and emotions.
This excerpt entitled Word is about the words. The words are very powerful and how words are arranged in a particular order to get a creative writing or a poem. We all know that everybody is not able to create a poem or write a poem. Only certain geniuses or only certain people with creativity are able to write poems. So here, poet is discussing about his poetic creativity, how words are important to them, how he arranged these words to make or create a poem. So let us discuss the text in detail. So here, this memo entitled Word is about his relationship with the words. Normally, when we write an autobiography or a memo, we tend to write it in prosaic form. But here we can see that poet, he has used several figures of speech and several imageries, that this memo, it appears to be much more poetic than a prose. And as a poet, we can see that a kind of blurring distinction of genres you can see here, that his memos, it appears to be much more poetical than a prose.
You can say anything you want, yes, sir. But it's words that sing, they soar and descend. I bow to them.
Here, poet is saying that you can say anything with the help of words. Words are so powerful, and we are able to communicate well with the help of these words. And sometimes you can sing with these words. Sometimes these words, they can fly up. Sometimes they come down, and you can say anything with the help of these words. And poet, he says that he respect these words very much. I bow to them. This is what poet says.
I love them. I cling to them. I run them down. I bite into them. I melt them down. I love words so much, the unexpected ones.
The poet is very much attached to these words. He loves them very much. He ran after them. He bites them. Sometimes the words are melted down. And the poet is here describing words as an unexpected ones.
The ones I wait for greatly or stalk until suddenly. They drop. Vowels I love. They glitter like colored stones. They leap like silver fish. They are foam, thread, metal, dew.
While writing poem, poet has to wait for an apt word to continue his writing. So sometimes he stalks. Stalk means you are running after something without their permission. He had to wait a lot to get the apt word. Then the words are described as glittered stones. It is described as a silver fish, and here it is described as a dew, as a metal, as a stone. So he is associating everything with words. Poet is saying that what he loves most is the vowels. And here vowels are compared to silverfish as foam. What's a foam? Foam is when you rub your clothes with water, with soap. What you get is the soap. So it's described as bubble, as foam, as a dew. So that much beautiful is the vowels.
I run after certain words. They are so beautiful that I want to fit them into my poem. I catch them in mid-flight as they whiz past. I trap them, clean them, peel them.
Then poet is saying that sometimes he has to run after certain words which are so beautiful, and patiently he has to follow them, he has to catch them. Here a kind of bee image is introduced. So words are compared to bees, and the poet, he has to trap them, he has to catch them. Here poet is writing about the poetic creativity, getting the apt word to write a poem. Maybe sometimes he gets the word at midnight, and he has to catch it. He has to trap these words to fit into his poem.
I set myself in front of the dish. They have a crystalline texture to me, vibrant ivory, vegetable, oily, like fruit, like algae, like arcades, like olives. And then I stir them, I shake them, I drink them. Here poet is introducing a kind of preparation of a dish imagery. So like you prepare a dish, likewise you are preparing, you are making or creating a poem. So it can be like a vegetable, it can be oily, it can be like fruit. Like preparing a dish, poet has to stir these words, he has to shake it, he has to drink. We can see a kind of food imagery, preparation of a dish in these lines. I gulp them down, I mash them, I garnish them, I let them go, leave them in my poem like stalactites, like silvers of polished wood, like coals, pickings from a shipwreck, gifts from the waves. Everything exists in the word. An idea goes through a complete change because one word shifted its place, or because another settled down like a spoiled little thing inside a phrase that was not expecting her but obeys her.
When poet is continuing with the food imagery, he has to gulp these words. He has to smash them. He has to garnish or decorate them. Here we can see a kind of a preparation of a cake and a delicious cake. All these imageries comes to our mind. Then poet is saying that sometimes he leaves certain words to his poem and it appears like stalactites. The stalactites means the icicles. Then he is saying that it appears like a polished wood in his poems. It sometimes it appears as a remainings of the shipwreck. Then it is described as a gift from waves. Everything exists in the word. This is what the poet is saying. The idea is that if a word is shifted from its place, then maybe sometimes the complete meaning will change. The idea itself will change. Or if a word comes into a sentence, then also the meaning will change. That much powerful is the word.
They have shadow, transparence, weighty feathers, hail, and everything they gathered from so much rolling down the river, from so much wandering from country to country, from being rooted so long. They are very ancient and very new. They live in the byre, hidden away in the budding flower. What a great language I have! It's a fine language we inherited from the fierce conquistador.
Here, the poet is talking about the evolution of a language, how a language is formed. Here, poet is describing words as shadows. They are transparent. They are as light as feathers. They are described as hairs. And they travels across the world. How words are formed, new words are formed. They travel across the world through rivers. It shows a civilization. They travel across the world from country to country. New words are formed. Sometimes some words will die. New words will enter into a language. So we can see that language, it is evolving, it is changing every day. Some languages, they die. We can see about some, we might have heard about some extinct languages. So how language is formed? And poet is wondering what a great language we have. How this language is formed. It's a great language we got from the fierce conquistadors. So who are the conquistadors? They are the Spanish invaders. The Spanish invaders who came to the Latin American countries and they invaded everything. Like the Britishers. The Britishers, they came to India and they conquered everything. Likewise, these Latin American countries, they were invaded by Spanish people.
They strode over the giant Cordillera Sea, over the rugged Americas, hunting for potatoes, sausages, beans, black tobacco, gold, corn, fried eggs with a voracious appetite not found in the world since then. They swallowed up everything: religions, pyramids, tribes, idolatries, just like the ones they brought along in their huge sacks. Wherever they went, they raised the land. But words fell like pebbles out of the boots of the barbarians, out of their beards, their helmets.
What happened to the Chile? What happened to Chile when these Spanish invaders came? They swallowed everything. They destroyed everything. They hunted for the potatoes. They plundered everything. Why these Britishers came to India? Because they want gold and spices. Likewise, these Spanish invaders, they robbed everything. They plundered everything. They took everything. And they took everything, including the religion, idolatries. Idolatries are the idols which we worship. They took everything, the pyramids, everything that they saw in the land. So this is how someone conquest a country. They plundered and took every valuable things from the land. The poet is talking about about how these Chileans, they got the Spanish language. In Chile, we can see that these people, they are using Spanish language. Even Neruda is writing poems in Spanish, and from where did they got Spanish? From the conquistadors. These conquistadors, these invaders from Spain, they plundered the land, they took every riches from the land, but they left something. That's the words, Spanish words. These words fell from the boots of the barbarians. So who are the barbarians? The conquistors. And these Chileans, they got their language from the Spanish invaders.
Their horseshoes, luminous words that were left glittering here. Our language. We came up losers, we came up winners. They carried off the gold and left us the gold. They carried everything off and left us everything. They left us the words.
And where does these words come from? They came out from the helmets, the shoes, and the boots, the horseshoes of these barbarians, the Spanish invaders. And these Spanish conquistadors, they took something from them, but they left something. They plundered the gold, but they left some gold. What is that gold? That is the Spanish language. They took everything from them, but they gave everything. What is that? This language. And we came up losers. This is what the poet is saying, that we lost everything, but we become winners. We got something. We got our precious language. And this is the gift. This is how we got our language. This is how we got this powerful language with which now we are able to express. So today we have discussed the memo, an excerpt from memo by Pablo Neruda, which entitled The Word. And in this excerpt, the poet is talking about the evolution of their language, how these people, they got their language, how words are important in one's life, how words are important in creative writing. Okay, then see you then. Bye-bye. Take care.